Okay, how's everybody doing this evening? My name is Kent and the channel is EOS San Diego. Of course, we're in San Diego, California, actually Carlsbad to be specific. And I make videos about the blockchain, about cryptocurrencies, about our project, which is the challenge application, about Ethereum, about Bitcoin, and about a lot of cryptocurrencies. And I'm gonna start making these videos a little bit more regularly. For over 2 years, I think I made a video almost every night. I literally didn't miss a night for almost 2 years. And then the last year or so, I've been kind of slacking a little bit, but I think I'm gonna get back into this a little heavier because there's a lot of good stuff going on. So I'm gonna try to keep on pace of making a video almost every night. If I miss a night here and there, it's gonna be hopefully not very often because I'm gonna try to keep it up pretty regularly. And of course, I'm on YouTube. I mean, YouTube is where I've been at for the last 4 or 5 years. And a lot of people ask me to use other platforms for my videos, but I've been here, and of course it's a small channel, so I'll probably continue just to be on YouTube. So anyway, I want to talk a little bit about Ethereum tonight, because Ethereum's the high flyer. Ethereum broke through the $1,000 barrier, and of course I think all-time highs for Ethereum is around 1,400. And of course we all know where it started, which was literally nothing. So Ethereum has been one of the biggest gainers of all time. One of the historic biggest movers of all time has been Ethereum. And here recently, Ethereum is just last 24 hours has just been on a it's hotter than a pistol. And as I say, it's up there, way up there. I mean, it's Bitcoin's kind of dropped the last few days, while Ethereum is skyrocketing. And of course, a lot of people like to compare Ethereum with EOS because they're both smart contract platforms. Of course, Ethereum has first mover advantage, and that's why I always felt like Ethereum was always a little bit more favored by investors and by people that are buying the token, because I've always found Ethereum a little bit more difficult to use, especially with gas fees and the fact that it was proof of work. And actually, when we tried to build our application originally, we wanted to do it on Ethereum, and of course we realized at that time was CryptoKitties and everybody, and it wasn't scaling, so we realized that it wasn't, and we didn't do an ICO, which we were happy we didn't do. We did an airdrop instead. But anyway, we ended up going for EOS because we knew EOS had a platform that would run the application without a lot of resource fees, and that it would scale. And that's why we chose EOS, as some of the other applications did as well. But Ethereum's always been the better performer. It's always made more money. It's gone higher. It's done much better. And I, by no means, am someone that dislikes Ethereum. I love Ethereum. I think Vitalik is probably the superstar in the cryptocurrency space. He is probably the person that has done more for cryptocurrencies than any one single person, besides Satoshi, in the space of cryptocurrencies. He has been the person that has been the face of cryptocurrency. So I love Vitalik and I love Ethereum. And what I say about Ethereum tonight has nothing to do with my feelings about Ethereum, or has nothing to do with about me thinking EOS is superior or has something over Ethereum, because they both have their places. And of course we've chosen EOS because we wanted an application that didn't have need a lot of resources to run, and that could run without having any scalability problems. That's why we chose EOS. That was our decision. That's what we did, and that's where we're at. And it doesn't because I just dislike anything about Ethereum, but I want to talk a little bit about Ethereum tonight, because the other night I compared Ethereum to EOS in respect to the fact that EOS was a proof of stake protocol, and Ethereum was proof of work. And somebody in the comments said that I was basically called me, I think they called me a name. I can't remember. I think it was an idiot. They called me an idiot because I did not acknowledge the fact that Ethereum was moving to proof of stake, and that I basically ignored that. And by doing that, I was not being honest. And what I was then I did respond to the comment, and the response that I had, and I hope the person didn't take offense to it, was that really you need to be around a little bit longer before you make comments like that, because if you had been around or had been around for a little bit longer, which maybe they had, I don't know, but you would realize a lot of times Ethereum makes make directional decisions, and then they never follow through with them. In other words, they've been talking about scaling for a long time with plasma and sharding and some of the other ideas that they've had. They've been talking about this for a long time. They've been talking about 2.0 for a long time. And it seems like stuff never materializes, and that's what I try to explain to them. You haven't been around long enough to say that Ethereum is definitely going to proof of stake, because they've been talking about this for a long time and it so far hasn't happened. So don't, because I didn't say that they were going to proof of stake or have been proof of stake or going to be proof of stake, that I'm trying to be disrespectful of Ethereum. It's just that I've seen this go on for a long time, and it seems like they never really materializes. And that was my response. But after I thought about it for a while, I started thinking about this, and I think that one of the things that's going on right now that every single cryptocurrency needs to be concerned about, except for two, EOS and Bitcoin, is that they could be considered a security by the Securities and Exchange Commission of the United States of America. So you could literally be penalized by the SEC. And only two have been given the pass. Bitcoin, because of the decentralization proof of work protocol that it uses, and of course EOS. And of course EOS did not be found a security. They just simply got a waiver. So they settled. So they're in the clear. They've gone to the Securities and Exchange Commission. Nobody made a determination on whether they were or not, but they simply made a settlement and they were granted a waiver. So they paid a price. And I know the price. I can't remember. It was in the millions, 20 million, 30 million. I can't remember exactly what it was. But I will tell you this, from my experiences with complex legal situations and seeing these play out in court and following them, that EOS's cost to that settlement wasn't the simple penalty that they paid, the $20 million, $30 million that they paid. It was getting to that point. So in other words, there had to be a long time probably to negotiate that settlement, and with very expensive legal fees, astronomically. I would guarantee you the legal fees to settle that were more expensive than the actual penalty. So every other cryptocurrency that did an ICO is probably facing the same problem. And in the past, Ethereum has kind of been considered safe because they were proof of work, like Bitcoin. So they were like riding on Bitcoin's tails. Proof of work as Bitcoin, being decentralized, not being a security. Well, now if Ethereum switches and goes to proof of stake, will they now be considered a security and now be in violation of the Howey test, which is a Supreme Court ruling from a long time ago, I believe in the 30s, that makes no sense. It's a simple test, and they used it. It has no relevance to today's world. It has no relevance to cryptocurrencies. It has no relevance to anything. But I think in Orange Grove, or whatever the case is about, you can read it on the internet. So every single cryptocurrency right now is in jeopardy if they raised money anywhere in the world, not only the United States, I think anywhere in the world, that they are in jeopardy of becoming a security and being under the penalties of the U.S. government. And as U.S. government being world reserve currency, dollar around the world, I mean, there's ramifications that go on beyond that you can even imagine if you get considered a security by the Securities and Exchange Commission. That's one of the reasons why the only two cryptocurrencies I really, truly, give my full faith, endorsement is Bitcoin and EOS, because they are in the clear as far as U.S. government laws. Now, a lot of people say that Bitcoin still could be brought down by governments. In fact, I heard that one of the guys on that show, I don't even like to mention the name of it because I don't like the show, and the only person I know on that show is that Mark Cuban, and that guy's got to be the luckiest guy in the world because of broadcast.com. I've talked about that before. To sell that to Yahoo for a few $1 billion I believe he is the luckiest person in the history of the world. for doing that. And then he sets in judgment of everybody else's ideas. So I always think it's kind of comical. But there's another guy on there, and I don't even know his name. But anyway, somebody was asking about Bitcoin, and he was saying, "Oh, just wait till the regulators get through with Bitcoin." Kind of being negative about Bitcoin. But the regulators had their shot at Bitcoin. They had their shot at Bitcoin with the SEC, and they didn't take it. They basically gave them a pass. So all these people that are sitting here waiting for Bitcoin to be brought down by the U.S. government or any other government in the world, I think they've already had that play, and it didn't work, or they decided not to take it. Sorry about the train. As you know, if you live anywhere close to Carlsbad, California, or Oceanside, California, or along the coast, along the 5 here, you've got the train running up and down the coast all the time. And at night, it seems to be a little bit louder because there's not any other activity. So I call it the EOS train, a Bitcoin train, whatever train you want to call it. But anyway, it goes through there all the time. So back to my point. My point being that the U.S. regulators had their opportunity to take down Bitcoin and call it a security. If it would have been a security, anybody that's holding it could be in violation of holding an illegal security, and they could have probably shut it down. Maybe the regulators could have shut it down. I don't know. I don't know what the ramifications are. But they didn't do it, and they had their chance, and they didn't do it. So in my mind, Bitcoin has been given an okay, and they're probably never going to be messed with again. And I think EOS has the same okay. Now, if Ethereum switches over to proof of stake, Ethereum could come under the scrutiny of the Securities and Exchange Commission and could be be in violation of the Securities and Exchange rules and regulations, and be fined heavily, and even have to give back investor money, especially investor money raised in the United States. So this person that called me out that said that I was not giving Ethereum the credit for being proof of work, or going over to from proof of work to proof of stake, they may never go to proof of stake, simply because they may never want to have to settle with the Securities and Exchange Commission, or they may never want to have to go through what EOS went through. I mean, I'm not saying they couldn't. They could settle, and they hopefully, I'm sure there'll be money there to do it. But are they going to do that? I don't know. Are they going to risk that? I don't know. The other thing too is they've talked about plasma and sharding, and now they're going to proof of work or proof of stake. But every time you do something like that, there's always a negative as well as a positive. The positive is that you're scaling faster. The negative is that you're changing a lot of parts of your protocol. You're changing a lot of things, and there's always a balancing act going on. Whenever you got a benefit, you always also have a negative. So proof of stake versus proof of work, that's going to affect a lot of things within their organization. It affects the community. It affects the way how the resources are utilized, how the resources are being costing the person using the platform. I mean, there's just so many things going on. Someone used the analogy about it's like changing an airplane motor in mid-flight. It's very difficult to do. So this is what's on Ethereum's plate. If they're going to scale, they could run into problems with regulators if they go to proof of stake, and also they have to work out all the minutia, all the details of changing their entire system of running. I mean, their community, their coding, everything like that has to jive with what it is that they're intending to do. So Ethereum having this huge spike and going up, when of course it hasn't gone up higher than it was back in 2017, I believe. It hasn't gone over its all-time highs, of which Bitcoin has. But this is a little bit of a gamble in my mind for people that are speculating or buying, not speculating, but buying Ethereum. Not that I'm not saying I want Ethereum to go down, or I'm looking for Ethereum to get have problems here. I'd like to see them continue, and I'd like to see it scale and work and everything like that, because I'm an Ethereum, I'm a person that likes Ethereum, and I want Ethereum to succeed and do well. But there's a lot of things balancing here. And like I say, it's not as easy and as simple as it sounds. Just move over to proof of stake. It just doesn't work that easily. It just doesn't work from, we're not scaling to now we scale. It doesn't work like, we're having a hard time running, CryptoKitties, and now all of a sudden we're running complex DeFi, and we have interoperability with other blockchains, and things are all working. These are very complex ecosystems that we're speaking of. There's a lot of moving parts going on here, and for that all to just materialize and work out so well and scale, with the amount of transactions it takes to meet the demands of something that is needs a lot of transactions, is very difficult to do. That's why I'm still very positive about EOS. That's why I still think Bitcoin is the gold standard. In my mind, Bitcoin and EOS are the gold standard. EOS being a little bit less of a gold standard than Bitcoin. My belief is Bitcoin is the best there is. My second belief is that EOS is second best. Where everybody else falls after that, I don't know. I'm just saying that those are the two that I think that have the best chance of being successful in the future. Mainly because the waiver from the Securities and Exchange Commission, also because EOS scales in smart contracts, and plus Google seems to be somebody that likes EOS. And I think that's a very, very big thing, even though it hasn't really played out in the market yet. In fact, when I heard that news, I immediately bought a bunch of EOS, and it did nothing, and I was very disappointed, because I actually sold Bitcoin to buy EOS, and then EOS didn't do anything with it. And then I was very, very disappointed that because the news broke on Google being a block producer. And then, of course, I've been trying to follow up on that news and really haven't seen much happen with it. So I don't know where we're at. I know they announced publicly that they are block producers. We're block producers, going to be block producers. I don't even know if they're there. I mean, I haven't really been able to identify if they're block producing for EOS right now. But I know they are, and I know that, they're going to be, because they've already announced it, and that's what it is. So when you have EOS as board as one of the validators, I mean, how does it get much better than that? I mean, that's about as good as it gets. The other thing that I hear a lot of, and I wanted to address it here real quickly, is people playing the game of deciding whether they are a security or not. So there's a lot of people who are saying, like, well, we're a third generation cryptocurrency, and we're decentralized, and we have a big community, and so there's no way the Securities and Exchange Commission can find us in violation of the Howey rule, Howey test. We would never be considered a security. I can tell you, if people are saying that kind of stuff, they can't be more wrong. I will tell you one thing as a matter of 100% fact: you can never call these things, and you will never, ever know something for sure, unless it's been settled, like EOS and, of course, Bitcoin. You will never know for sure, because you could have everything work perfectly like it's supposed to be not a security and still be called a security. That's the law. I'm sorry, but our legal system in this country is completely broken. And there is no rhyme or reason to a lot of decisions being made in this country today as far as the legal situation is concerned. Judges are hard to call. People that read the law are hard to call. People interpret the law in a million different ways. One person can look at it and say, yep, that's definitely fits, and another person could look at it and say, nope, that doesn't fit. You never know how the Supreme Court's going to look at stuff. It's a complete crapshoot with the legal system as far as whether you're going to bank on if something's a security or not. This is anybody that's playing that game right now is a complete fool. The only thing I would tell you, or tell anyone that is getting ready to play that game, is you better lawyer up, and you better lawyer up with the best lawyers you can get, and that's what EOS did, and that's big dollars. You better be successful, or you better have raised a lot of money, because you're going to be paying it out in legal fees, because that's the way the system really operates. The system doesn't operate in the balancing of the scales and justice is blind the system really operates under, you know, who you know, what lawyers you're able to hire, and you know, probably how much public opinion you can get on your side, and a lot of other factors that you probably will never be able to understand or figure out. But there is no way anybody's going to ever tell me that such and such blockchain is not or such and such a token is not a security or security if it hasn't been ruled on or decided, or if it hasn't been settled. So there's just no way you're going to ever do that. Don't play that game. Don't even think about it. I know there's a lot of people doing that, and I'm hearing them do it. If you raised money, I'm telling, I will make this as a matter of fact. If you raised money anywhere in the world, you got a problem. In any kind of ICO, you got a problem, unless you're EOS or you're Bitcoin. If you're anybody else, you got a problem. And I don't care how decentralized you are. I don't care how many people in the community. I don't care how many people, you know, think that you're not a security. You don't know that, and neither does anybody else. And until it gets litigated, until it gets decided, until there's actually a waiver signed, until there is some sort of decision, a legal decision, or some sort of opinion, or not a decision, but a settlement made, you don't know that. And I don't care who you are. I mean, I've heard people, and I'm not going to mention names, calling themselves, there's no way that they're going to be securities when they don't know that. And I don't care how smart or how intelligent or how long or long-winded or how well you can argue or how well you think or how smart you are, you're never going to call that one, not in a million years. And the more you try to call it that way, the bigger, deeper trouble you're going to get yourself into. So the only ones that I think that are completely safe are Bitcoin and EOS. All the others are like I say, they have a problem with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, and that's a worldwide problem. That's not just a problem in the United States. That's a worldwide problem. As long as the U.S. securities, as long as the U.S. government, and as long as the U.S. dollar is still traded and used around the world as reserve currency, you got a problem. So there's sanctions that can be put in play and all kinds of stuff. So yeah, there's a huge problem. So the other thing I want to talk about a little bit tonight before I end this video is that I heard someone talk the other night. I mean, I've been talking against the dollar being reserve currency, that it's in jeopardy. And I've heard some pretty decent people argue the opposite, that it's so well entrenched and so widely used that it may not lose reserve currency, even to Bitcoin. Although I believe that eventually Bitcoin will rule the world, or be a reserve, not a reserve currency, not only rule the world, but be the store of value for a lot of wealth in the world. If you can afford it, well, I guess anybody can afford it because it can be broken down to the smallest incremental pieces. I mean, someone asked me the other day, I asked them if they had any Bitcoin. I said, "Are you kidding me? Those things are like $30,000 a piece." I said, "Well, you don't have to buy a whole Bitcoin. You can buy $20 worth of Bitcoin. I don't know. You can buy pretty small amounts of Bitcoin." But yeah, I do believe Bitcoin will eventually, as Max Kaiser says, it'll just eventually just eat up everything. I mean, I love it when he says, there's two things Max Kaiser says that I think that are really funny. One thing is everything's crashing next to Bitcoin. And the other thing he says is eventually Bitcoin will just take over everything. It'll just eat up everything. And I think that's, in that respect, I agree with him. And he says it in a humorous way, which makes it even more funny. But yeah, I do think, I don't know that Bitcoin will ever be reserve currency. I mean, Novogratz doesn't think it will be. But it'll definitely play a big value. But the thing the person did argue by saying that the U.S. dollar isn't dead yet is that Bitcoin could raise in value considerably in comparison to the dollars. And that part he did agree with. But as far as the dollar being gone, as far as it's not having any power around the world, he says that's not going to happen. And he may be right. I listened to the video. I'm not going to tell you the YouTuber because I don't even remember the YouTuber. But I did listen to this video, and it was a very good one about the dollar still having some strength and still holding some of its value. So yeah, I mean, that's very, very possible. Very, very, very possible. I'm totally into cryptocurrencies, and of course I see paper fiat currencies and money as just outdated, not something that nobody that doesn't transact in today's world, digital world. But that doesn't mean it's going to become worthless. And There's a lot of people out there that with videos that argue the opposite points that I make. So not everybody has the complete answers. I certainly don't, and I do think that Bitcoin's going much higher, and I do think EOS is going much higher. But how that all plays out in the world and how it all happens in the future, nobody really knows. But these are exciting times, and that's why I want to start making more videos. I appreciate you watching. Thank you.